definitely a safety issue too, because we have 3 counties in our school, and the school I go to, which is about 700 students, over half the population is, it's a gang city. I mean, we're overcome by gangs and everything. And Rosemart, which is our private school in our county, is up top there, all safety, they do random drug testing and everything. And at public schools,
y'all make notes as we're talking.
at public schools, they do not do random drug testing. And at private schools, they do random drug testing. And so a person that goes to a private school is more likely to be responsible or get a better education because they know they have a random drug test coming up. So they're not going to do, all those activities that a public school person might do.
Well, like in our county, I know as student athletes, we actually have to sign on our, our physicals. We have to sign that we are subject to random drug testing. Like, we're subject to random drug testing. Like, I know I had to take one this past year. Yeah, like TWSA is now made that a rule where all students have to be, like, held responsible to.
Well, see, our school is below poverty level, so over half of our school is on the fee waivers. They don't. Yeah, it's just different with every school.
And if you listen to your talking, I think money makes a difference. If you're in a well-to-do area, that your school system's getting the proper funding to get the equipment you need and to teach, I'm confident public schools do wonderful. But we also see the fact that the private schools have other things to offer. And I've heard some awful good positive comments about private schools. And I think that's what we're going to have to try to do. Remember now, we're arguing for it. Whether we're against it or not, we're for it. I think we just have to understand some of the negative that we can do the positive.
Based off what he was saying about the northern schools, the northern schools have it more better than down here, down in the south. Up north, I moved around the north a lot, and I've been around a lot of those schools, and it's actually the opposite way around. In public schools, we don't have to pay for lunch. We have everything bought, everything is brand new. In private schools, they charge for lunch, they still charge the tuition fee. And it's like the private schools have it much worse than the public schools do. The public schools have it made. The private schools still have to suffer for it. So coming back down here, it's a big change because now the public schools don't have it made. It's the private schools that have it. So.
And some of it's strictly funded. Because I know a lot of private schools require parents to serve just so many social hours.
Well, it's getting to the point now where our schools are so overcrowded that public schools require that because there's so many students and so much work to be done because of so many students.
And then there's so many students per teacher ratio also. So I mean, there are advantages on both ends, but now we still got to remember, we're arguing where our side is we want public dollars for private schools. And we've got to defend our argument why that is good. You made some good comments, and yours are very good comments.
You should open
Go.
Okay. I think that we cannot discount the evaluation of how private schools tend to be better than public schools. But I think what we should specifically be doing is targeting what the other people are going to argue. And in this thing it says, opponents of vouchers state that funding public schools is an obligation on all members of society and that enrollment in private schools is a personal choice, the expense of which must be borne by the family and not society. They also believe that a voucher program may be unconstitutional. So I think we specifically need to address the constitutionality of the voucher program and also whether or not it's families' obligation to pay for private schools or whether these tax dollars can be delegated to the private school. And
this is in your book now. If y'all want to read this, you read it.
Honestly, I completely agree with the fact that, like, hey, private school is a family choice. And if you want your kid to go to private school, pay for it yourself, since you're obviously wanting your kid to go there and everything.
But see our argument.
Yeah,
It's kind of hard.
It's a hard thing for to defend.
And voucher-wise, heck, if I could go to a private school voucher-wise, I completely would, just for the simple fact, JP2, MBA, Innsworth, Chattanooga College, Baylor, all those schools, if you go down, like they're like on graduation night, you see where all their seniors are going to college, there will be maybe 1 or 2 kids that are going to community college. Everybody else is going to a 4-year university, and a lot of parents want that for their kids. So heck, if they have the ability to do that and they don't have to pay for it, who wouldn't do it? It's kind of.
Especially like the unemployment rate is so high now. Like everybody's looking for jobs that there's really no way. There's only a select few people, like families, that can pay for that. Because I know in Dixie County, you're not going to be going to private school there. you just don't have enough money for it. And even if you do, you're just not saving it for.
And that may be another good argument for us, that if we could get that public dollar, it would help the poor
So much more
or
opportunities.
be able to go to some of
Because
these
if you don't work on the students now, they're just gonna end up like all their parents,
We
they're
are
just gonna end
the
up
future.
employed. I mean, it's not gonna do any good.
In the book, it was mentioning, she said something about constitutionality of it. Does it not say that in the preamble of the Constitution that we're supposed to, about tranquility, we're supposed to be, tranquil and at peace with one another? So if it's gonna cause problems in the sense of finances, for parents to send it and present an untranquil economical stature for our community, then would it not make more sense just to alleviate that problem by using the money that is already there and starting to surplus in my county and send kids to private school?
I understand what you're saying, and we've got to try to stay off of this, but it creates another problem for public schools, and that's the reason I say I could argue it a whole lot better. You take and build the 500 student school that is overpopulated 500 now, and you take the school that's built that's underpopulated to 500, they were bond notes sold to buy these buildings, to pay for these buildings. If you have all the public school children coming out of the public school system, and all that money all of a sudden goes to private schools, how are they gonna pay their bonds back? So, there's more
Well, that's where
damage.
you have to come to a principle. If we're gonna argue for this, we're gonna have to sit here and we're gonna have to imply a principle that you have to prove that you need to go to private school. I mean, if you're sitting here making all hundreds in all honors classes or AP classes, by all means, you need to go to private school because you're not being challenged. But, if you're just Joe Blow failing every class and, oh, I don't like the environment here. No, you have to show, first off, educationally, that you need to go to private school. And second off, you have to present where you feel adequate to go. Like, I don't think that the county should have to pay for your transportation to the school. I think they should pay for the school, the tuition, they should pay for your food, and they should pay for your athletic events, because that's what you would have to pay for if you were in a county school. Now, public buses, yes, are paid for, but I think that there should be a zoning rule if you're gonna try and voucher out, because you don't want some kid that's living in Ooltewah going to Baylor. That way you're having to pay for a bus to come all the way out there every day.
But even then, though, if they had that responsibility to get their own child there, it would eliminate that. And see, all these are good comments. But we're still gonna have to focus back again, I think more toward what the young gentleman was talking about in her comment about the legal right to spend this money. We're trying to persuade the average Joe that may not have a job, that may be employed for a year, 2 years, 4 years, to allow their tax dollars for someone else to spend somewhere other than in their own county local schools.
This is a real quick thing. What does the financial aid fall under for private schools when it comes to?
I really don't know, I apologize, I don't know.
It's,
I'm sure they
That's less than
qualify.
30,000. I
Yeah,
think it's,
cause like some schools have.
If
like,
they do the
more
FAFSA, I'm
financial-
sure it's the same requirements for FAFSA for them as it would anybody else.
Yeah, cause I know like a bunch of schools, hey, if you have an outstanding athlete kid, they just pay for him to go to school regardless and everything.
And they can recruit,
Yeah, they
you
can-
know,
I mean,
but
I just
if we're
didn't know
not
what that-
careful, we get back again on that negative,
Yeah.
which I think the
Yeah, we can
negative
do.
makes good points, but we've got to make the positive. This is gonna be what the other people are saying.
Why don't we take that and use it to argue against it?
Well, we can,